This story is pretty disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. It comes from a police officer who made a post on Reddit. Dispatch received a call from an older couple saying there was an unknown man just standing in their backyard late one evening. He matched the description of a suspect who was recently involved in a gas station robbery just down the street about 2 hours previously. Several officers showed up and split into two groups on either side of the house. They approached the man with their weapons drawn. They saw the suspect and ordered him to get on the ground. The man ignored their commands and didn't move. As they approached him, they realized why he wasn't moving. The suspect, after robbing the gas station, took off on foot. He cut through the older couple's backyard to try to get away. When he went to hop the fence in the back, he slipped and impaled himself on a fence post. He couldn't pull himself off, and his body weight slowly drove him down the post. It entered from down below and went straight up through to his shoulder. He literally turned himself into a human scarecrow.
Story time about how my stepmom got with my boyfriend. So a little background information, I was 18 and it was my senior year of high school. And my mom and my dad got a divorce whenever I was 11 years old. My dad moved to a whole other state. My sister went with him and then my brother and I stayed with my mom. Because my mom said it was a time where we need our mom in our lives. But to be honest, I think she just wanted child support. Anyways, after elementary school, I moved back in with my dad. And at the time, he was dating this woman who we're going to call Carol. And she was like the sweetest girl I'd ever met. I actually called her mom even though they weren't married because I was so close to her. So fast forward, they get married. I'm super happy for them. My senior year of high school, I start dating this guy named Paul. Well, since I was close with Carol, I told her about him first. After a while of him and I dating, she suggested that he should come over for dinner. So I ended up inviting him to this party that my dad hosts every year. And I was super excited. Well, I see him and Carol talking, and I'm super happy because I want him to get along with my family, like for part 2.
This is why you should never date multiple people at once. A story time, I guess. This story takes place when I was 17 or 16. Okay, no one cares. It was a long time ago. And girl, back in the day, I was getting played left, right, and center. Played like a game of football. I had a distinct taste for F-boys. And that was going on for some time until your girl said enough. Enough of this buffoonery. I'm not getting played by men any longer. And I am going to become a player myself. I know the logic is really off, but I was 17, so cut me some slack, okay? So my brilliant idea was, I'm just gonna talk to multiple guys, and I will figure out which one I like in the end. And I'm gonna date that one. Now in my mind, the plan was flawless. And they do always say, don't put your eggs in one basket. So I end up meeting a couple of guys, and I really like this one guy, but I decide I'm keeping my options open. Already posted part 2, so go watch it.
Welcome to Creep Time on TikTok with Celestine. This is a case that is bone-chilling to me, and I remember the first time that I heard it too. This is the unsolved mystery of the Lady of the Dunes. On July 26th of 1974, a 12-year-old girl stumbles upon a woman laying face down on a beach blanket in the dunes of Provincetown, Massachusetts. As she gets a bit closer, she realizes what she's looking at is the body of a corpse. This woman had been laying there in the dunes for up to 3 weeks. She was found almost decapitated, her hands cut off, and a severe head wound that likely came from somebody who was laying there next to her in the sand. She was also found with a blue bandana and a pair of blue jeans that were under her head at the time that she died. And despite this massive public search effort to try to identify her, no one is ever able to come forward to accurately identify the Lady of the Dunes. The body has been exhumed multiple times, trying to scrap her new evidence, make more modern composites of her face, but despite all of that, the case still remains cold. One of the more recent theories is actually a connection to the 70s film Jaws, which had been filming that exact summer just about 100 miles away from Provincetown. In the film, an extra can be spotted who is wearing the exact same clothing that was found with the Lady of the Dunes. And side by side, she's also a very close match to the modern composite drawing. Despite a ton of public outreach, no one has ever come forward to either claim themselves to be or identify this extra. The case remains unsolved and the question still remains, who was the Lady of the Dunes?
Story time! The time I did an influencer's nails. So as you all know, I used to take clients back in the day. This happened about a year ago. They DM'd me on Instagram saying they found me on TikTok and would love to get their nails done. And of course, I accepted because I was such a huge fan of them. Then she sent me the nail design that she wanted done. And this set had literally bling design on all fingers. It was a lot. And then said she's free the next day. And I said, okay, great. I was so nervous and excited, so I practiced the set so many times. And I literally didn't sleep. So the day comes and she would literally refuse to say anything to me. Like her manager would talk for her. Which was pretty odd, but I'm here to do her nails. And the nails came out just the way she wanted. And then she refused to pay me. And said she'll pay me through promotion and never promoted me.
Welcome to Creep Time on TikTok with Celestine. I am going to cover this case, but please be warned it does discuss the death of a minor. This is the unsolved murder of the boy in the box. In February of 1957, the body of a boy was reported found in the cold woods of Fox Chase, Philadelphia. The boy was found dead in the box and was reported as nude with his skin wrinkled from being submerged in water. The body was discovered with surgical scars, a black substance in the throat, and a severe blow to the back of the head, which likely killed him. At the time of the murder, there is huge media coverage around this case, so they release a drawing, but nobody comes forward to claim this boy. Police took fingerprints, footprints, they contacted orphanages, they went through hospital records. There is no record of who this boy might have been, and no one's coming forward. This gives me the chills, but investigators became so desperate to try to identify him, they took a post-mortem photograph where he was dressed and staged just to see if anyone could recognize him in a more lifelike setting. So a key piece of evidence here is the actual box itself, which had a serial number on it which they could trace back to a specific JCPenney's about 15 miles away. The store was able to confirm that only 12 of these boxes with merchandise were sold from that store, and once the information was public, 8 of the 12 customers came forward and are immediately ruled out, which means there were still 4 unknown customers who purchased this box with merchandise, but none of them came forward and there were no records because their payments were cash. The case goes cold and it leaves investigators mystified for the next 60 years who the boy in the box really was.
Part 2 about how I almost got kidnapped by my online boyfriend. So like I said, I wake up in this abandoned farm shed. I don't have no clothes. I don't have a phone. So I try to run and he grabs me. He says that if you run, I will kill you. So I was like, okay, fine. What do you want from me? So he starts putting on lingerie and tells me to also put some on so we can take pictures together. What the actual you know what? So after that, he starts crying and he starts telling me his whole life story and how he's not who I think he is. Turns out that he's 32 and he just goes online pretending that he's 17 years old. So I just try to comfort him, right? It ends up working. He brings me my clothes, tells me to run, or else he's going to, once again, kill me. So I run, I go to this gas station, get picked up by the police, find my parents. Luckily for me, I paid attention to where everything was. He was arrested, he's still in prison to this day, and I got grounded for 3 months.
Here are 3 pictures with something dark lurking in the background. And if you're loving Creep Time and you want longer content, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel with the link in the bio. Number 1. With what kind of just looks like an overpacked truck at first, if you look a little bit closer, you might be horrified to find a small child in the back. Caught by a passing driver, all that can be seen is the head of a small boy crammed beneath a dresser. Number 2. When a wife had her camera roll developed, she thought she'd see pictures of her husband and her cat on the couch, but what she caught was horrifying. A smiling head beneath the end table. She confirmed in horror there was nothing she saw in that room after taking these pictures, leaving the face scene completely unexplainable. Number 3. During the attacks of 9/11, a picture was captured of what appears to be a woman standing at the impact zone. It's unknown how she could have survived the impact or what appears to be her leaning up against scorching steel, making her final photo a mystery.